Fica un down, não catar de gravação, tem que tocar tudo.
I'm Jason Brown, and I am here with Amy Sturgill. She is the acting executive director, as well as the land conservation director of Eastern Sierra Land Trust. And I'm going to start, Amy, with the question, since your primary job and role is land conservation director, what do you do in that role?
As the land conservation director for Eastern Sierra Land Trust, I primarily am focused on the acquisition and conservation easement projects for the organization and protecting landscapes here in the Eastern Sierra across our service area.
And so if you don't know what that is, we're going to get into all of that today because we're talking Eastern Sierra Land Trust. And yes, I'm cheating. I got my notes right here. Amy, explain to us what a land trust is and how it functions.
So land trusts are typically community-based nonprofit organizations that prioritize the conservation of landscapes. We typically are looking for projects that protect open spaces, wildlife habitat, working ranches, natural resources, cultural resources, and we use a whole toolkit of conservation kind of processes to protect those lands and those natural resources.
I'm sure that this next question is kind of going to fall into that one, since it's talking about what motivated founding Eastern Sierra Land Trust in 2001. Yes. Got to be something involved in that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2001, there was a group of individuals that lived up in the community of Swall Meadows, and as those houses were kind of being developed, these folks kind of were really forward thinking and realized that if they didn't structure this development in kind of a progressive way, there could be potential negative impacts to the Round Valley deer herd up there, because Swall Meadows is kind of situated right in the center of their migratory pathway. So basically, they spend the summers up in the Alpine, they move down into the valley in the winter. So a group of folks in Swall Meadows, some of which are on our board today, came together, said, hey, I think we need to form a land trust. We need to really think about how we develop in this area to limit impacts and, really do good by the folks, the wildlife, the natural resources here. Okay. So yeah, essentially it was a small group of folks that had a really big idea, and since then our work has expanded beyond Swall Meadows and includes Alpine, Mono, and Inyo counties, as well as Western Nevada.
Wow. So how does Eastern Sierra Land Trust collaborate with landowners to protect these vital lands of the Eastern Sierra?
So
big question.
Yeah, it is a big question. So historically, landowners have come to the land trust with an idea for conservation for their property. And essentially it starts with building relationships. Really, that's the foundation of our work. It's understanding, what the uses are of their property, what the conservation values are, what our priorities are as an organization, where all of those things overlap. So together we come up with a plan for the property to protect those conservation values while allowing landowners to maintain ownership of their land and also utilize their property in the way that benefits them, that their families have done for generations.
So, that's interesting. I'm trying to gather that. So there's legal paperwork involved that turns this. They became. Okay, I'm trying to really wrap my mind around it. They still maintain ownership, but you guys are a part of it as well.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. So a conservation easement is a legally binding agreement that we generate together. And essentially, it calls out what the conservation values are for each individual property, and they're unique to that property.
Okay.
And then typically the conservation agreement restricts some of the uses that could potentially impact those conservation values.
Is the conservation agreement the same as the conservation easement?
Yes.
Okay, and how do they benefit both the landowner and the environment then? Or did you just answer that kind of?
Oh, no. So they benefit the landowner by ensuring their property stays intact.
Okay.
Many of these folks have, been on their land for many, many years.
Right.
So it allows, usually the conservation easement limits subdivision. It limits development. It limits mining while allowing things that are sustainable uses of the land that are, compatible with the conservation values.
What happens, and this is kind of off? Well, I guess it would be part of it. What happens when the owners pass away? Does that agreement stay there and it pass on to their children or whoever their heirs are?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it just keeps going.
Yep. So
that's wonderful.
As an accredited land trust, our conservation easements are in perpetuity. Okay. So it means that these landscapes are going to be protected
forever.
Forever.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. What are some of the main threats? I know we have lots of threats that would be coming to the Eastern Sierras on working lands and wildlife habitats. Can you explain what some of those might be? Would fire be one?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So like I said, our service area is quite large, like ranging from Alpine County through Inyo County in Western Nevada. So it varies depending on where you are. But some of the biggest ones we kind of see across the region are poorly planned development, not having that forward-thinking mentality.
What would be an example of poorly planned?
Subdivision.
There you go.
Yeah, things like that.
Good job. Good answer.
A lot of the other resources are exactly like what you talked about. They basically stem from changing climatic conditions, and those include invasive annual grasses, drought, wildfire, like any of those impacts that, really change a landscape, like in large areas.
Boy, do they ever. Can you share with us briefly some success stories that you've had with some local landowners?
Yeah, so since the organization was founded in 2001, we have worked with all these incredible folks, government agencies, tribes in our area, and we protected 23,000 acres of land. So
how many?
23,000.
Wow.
Yeah, and looking to continue well into the future. So, and those conservation easements, they benefit wildlife, they benefit working ranches, they benefit the folks that recreate here that have come to love these wide open spaces. Really, they're just well-rounded benefits for everyone in this area.
Yeah, migration habitats, or not, it wouldn't be a habitat, it's a migration corridor where we see like deer and stuff crossing. What kind of impact have you had on that?
Yeah, so I think, as we all know, a lot of the land in our area is public land. We have a lot of Forest Service land, we have a lot of BLM land, and we also have, land managed by LADWP. So there's not a ton of private land, but I kind of like to think about it as like a quilt. And you have all these different patchworks,
yes.
right? And those private lands play a really important role in that quilt. So when we can protect private lands and we can have conservation initiatives like spread out over that entire quilt, it really brings everything together. It allows wildlife to move across the landscape, find the resources they need to survive and thrive, and really benefits all of us.
Okay, now, big question. How can they get involved to help support you guys in your conservation efforts?
Yeah, there's a number of ways. Yes, we rely heavily on folks in the community. Like I said, we are a community-based organization. So there's a number of ways to get involved. We are a member-based organization, so donations are always welcome, and they help us carry out all of our programs of work. We have a number of volunteer days, whether that's environmental education and outreach, or if that's stewardship. This week in particular, we have a stewardship day out on Conway Ranch where we hold a conservation easement. We're going to be doing some invasive plant removal to kind of help that ecosystem up there. And then coming up October 26th, we have our big fundraiser. It's a huge event this year. We are celebrating, 20 plus years of conservation, so it has a Roaring 20s theme. It's going to be a really fun event up on Mammoth Mountain, and you can always follow along at www.eslt.org for all of our events and ways to get involved.
That's an easy one to remember, eslt.org.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love it. Well, I have Amy Sturgill here from Eastern Sierra Land Trust, Acting Executive Director, but more importantly, the Land Conservation Director. We appreciate you coming in and educating us. I definitely have learned a lot. Hopefully you've learned a lot. I'm Jason Brown, and thanks for watching Skippable News.
Hello, I'm Jimmy T with Skippable News, Sierra Wave Media, Laughing Parrot Productions, and KSRW. Today, we're honored to have Danielle Sexton, the Inyo County Clerk Recorder and Registrar of Voters. Welcome, Danielle. Welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Danielle is an amazing person. If you're voting, she's the one that's in the mix.
Yeah, we're here for voters. We're here to help with the process and make sure everybody gets out and votes.
And we are effectively in election season.
We are. It has begun.
So tell me, what's going on with election season right now?
So right now, candidate filing period opened July 15th and it runs through August 9th. We have 94 open seats that will be on the ballot, well, that are going to election. So this is the period that determines what will be on the ballot. Of those seats, these are for our school districts, city council board, city treasurer, Board of Education, and then all of our small special districts such as fire boards and community service water districts. So if there are more candidates than there are open seats, then they go to ballot. And we have quite a few right now that are looking to be on the ballot. In addition to candidates, we're going to have 10 state propositions. Those are posted on our website on what's on the ballot. And
.org? .org?
Oh, Inyo County elections. So elections.inyo county .us, I believe, and then what's on the ballot page.
Sorry, I want to make sure they got the right one.
Absolutely.
You said there's 94?
94, and that's because it's all the fire districts, all the community service districts. There's a few seats on the city board. There's the Board of Education, all of the, did I say school boards? All the school boards.
Yes.
So
at the end of this cycle, August 9th, you said?
hospital boards. That was the one I was forgetting.
So it's at the end of the cycle, August 9th, you said?
Yes.
So that's when you go, you find out if anybody's not opposed?
And
Unopposed?
on August 9th, if the current incumbent for a position doesn't file, on August 10th, it'll be declared that that position is extended to everybody but the incumbent. So it's an extended filing period for everyone else. And then so by August 14th, we'll know exactly what is appointed elected and not going to ballot and what will actually be on the physical ballots.
Wow. So there's a potential we could have no one on the ballot because only one person, the incumbent's there.
For each individual board, it's like we would expect our school boards usually go to ballot. The hospital boards could go to ballot. And then we have small community service districts where we usually have to encourage people to be on the boards. So it's like it's unlikely to see some of those smaller districts go to ballot, but it does happen. It does happen. Now, for each individual voter, the only thing that's going to be on their ballot is what's going on in their specific district. So it is by area. You have to live within the district to be able to vote for those boards.
And I apologize, I'm a little out of sequence of what we agreed to ask about.
Oh, that's okay.
If I wanted to go for bug tussle dog catcher, how would I apply for that?
Well, that's not an elected position, but if you wanted to be on one of the fire boards, you would come into our office and visit us. So if you want a city position for the city council board or the city treasurer positions, you would go into City Hall and see Robin, and she will help you file for city positions. And for all other positions, you'd come to Independence and file with us. And then we help you through the process. We are here to help the candidates because that helps the voters.
Is this a short process, a long process, a lot of forms?
There's a lot of forms, but we try to make it as painless as possible.
In how many, do I need signatures at that point, or do I?
No, for these small boards, there are no signature nominations. The city boards do have signature nominations, but these special districts, schools and hospitals do not.
I never knew this.
Yeah.
I love civics. I love government. I appreciate your teaching me. Yeah. Every time we meet, you teach me something new.
There's a lot to know.
There's a lot to know.
There is a lot to know.
And let's see. So that's about the election coming up, and where? So everything's in the can. Where do we vote and how? And
yeah, so we have some exciting stuff. So November 5th is the election, so it does start early in the process. So on November 5th, well, let's back up.
Okay.
Ballots are mailed to every active registered voter 29 days before the election. About a week before 29 days, we'll also be mailing out the voter information guide, so informing voters on how and where and when to vote, please read them. We take a lot of time in making sure that the information voters need is in there. I personally write those. They're really fun to put together, and yeah, so it's not the same old thing, and it is on a local basis. So, so we do have some changes. For Bishop, we're moving both of our voting locations. There was a new law that passed. It's AB 545, and it requires curbside voting. So you have to have a building that has curbside, and so the fairgrounds wasn't able to have that with their parking lot so far away from the building. And so in the beginning, it was a little stressful because that building worked so well for us. But we were able to obtain another building, our new voting location. And this is kind of breaking news. I haven't got this out there yet. We just solidified everything this week. Our new voting location will be at the Barlow Lane Gym on Barlow Lane.
Would you pardon me for just a moment? You heard it here first. Okay.
You did.
At Barlow Lane, that's a gym on the
Barlow
east
Lane
side,
on the
kind of.
reservation.
Yep.
Yeah, by the education
Yep.
buildings they have. Yeah, and it's a huge building. It's beautiful. They're awesome to be so accommodating. We've always had a voting location on the reservation. It was at the Paiute Professional Center.
Yep.
The professional center. I'm going to do that again.
Okay.
We've always had a voting location on the reservation. It was at their Paiute Professional Center. But we needed to incorporate more voters into a main location, and their gym was just amazing. So we were very lucky that they're letting us use that and having us participate on their.
That's awesome. And it's a great facility, like you said.
It really is. It's
Done
very
well.
nice. We're excited. They're excited. They've always been a great partner. So we really appreciate the reservation making this available to us.
And where is the second location?
The second location will be at the City Hall Auditorium. So we have one inside the city limits because we will have a really good city election going on, and so we'll make it available for in town and then a little bit out of town. It shouldn't be too impactful to voters as it's less than 3 miles from their prior location, less distance to walk in the winter. I think it'll be very well taken.
Awesome. So that's for Bishop.
That's for Bishop. And then all our other locations are the same. We have voting in Big Pine at Big Pine Town Hall, and in Independence in the courthouse, and in Lone Pine at Statham Hall.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you said you bail out the ballot. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Furry Friends. We have the amazing, once again, Lindsay Stein, and we have Milo. Milo is about 8 months old. Tell us about Milo.
So yes, he is 8 months old, around 8 or 9 months old. He is a lab mix. He was an owner surrender. He's been at the shelter since about June, and he is very high energy, very playful, loves to chase a ball, and would be a really good hiking companion.
Now, would you recommend a larger yard for Milo?
Yes, he does definitely have a lot of energy, so some room to run around would be really beneficial for this guy.
And you mentioned that there's specials ending at the end of the month.
Yeah, so at the end of the month, our free adoption will be ending. So we urge anyone to head on down to the animal shelter and take a look at all of the pups and the cats that we have down there. We are still at full capacity with 28 dogs and 21 cats and 20 kittens that are currently in foster care. So yeah, and that free adoption includes the spay and neuter of the animal of your choosing.
And you said the wabbit?
The rabbit, oh yes, Bart the rabbit.
Bart the rabbit.
He has found his forever home. His name is Walter, and the cuddly little guy ended up in a really cute little home.
That's awesome. Now Milo's up for adoption, but if you can also come visit and play with him to see if he's a match, and then you can fall in love with him at the.
Yeah, you can come on down to the animal shelter. So we are closed to the public on Monday, but Tuesday through Friday we are 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And then Saturday and Sunday we are 11 to 4 p.m. And you can come on down, you can walk one of the dogs, you can get to play with one of the dogs and figure out if that might be a good fit for you.
And how does someone contact you?
So you would reach out to the shelter at 760-938-2715, or you could come on down to the Big Pine Animal Shelter in person and our friendly staff will assist you.
Now, about the paperwork, there's always paperwork.
Oh,
what do you
yeah.
have to do with Milo?
So you'd fill out an application and then it would be reviewed by our supervising staff to make sure that everything's in order. And once that process has been completed with the paperwork and the spay and neuter is taken care of, then you can take your animal home.
And this is legit. A lot of people say, oh, I want that dog. And they bring a Great Dane into a 1-bedroom apartment. No, we're trying to help you. We know you love the dog, but you're kind of the voice of common sense.
Yeah, we definitely would like for people to take on something that they're comfortable with and that they can definitely manage. So that would be just a good time to come on down to the shelter and get to know some of these guys like Milo. He's definitely, like I said, very high energy. So someone would need to be able to give him some time, with the energy.
And you said Milo likes a ball. If somebody wanted to buy Milo a ball, how would they do that?
So they can go on our Amazon wish list and they can also donate so we can purchase more of the type of tennis balls that these individual dogs like. And so that's a good way to go.
I imagine they wouldn't last very long with Milo.
No.
But this is Milo the sweetheart. Is there anything we didn't mention that we should mention? Because you have Milo, you have other dogs, other cats, no rabbits right now.
No rabbits right now.
Free adoption to July 31st, which includes spay and neuter.
Yes.
And
I just would like to add, this is a general reminder that we urge the public to spay and neuter all their dogs and cats to help with the overcrowding in the shelter. Since the beginning of the year, which would be January, we've taken in about 71 puppies. And that's actually a very huge increase compared to the last few years. So just urge spay and neuter. If you need help, you need direction on where you can go for that, you just reach out to our animal shelter and we can provide information and resources such as eye care and go that route to assist. We definitely want to help.
Because that's the thing, you're not a negative agency, you're a positive agency. You work with other animal agencies in the area.
Yeah, so I mean, we do communicate with like Mono County and things like that. So we definitely, we're open with, talking with Eye Care and Eastern Sierra Dog Rescue. We all want to come together to help animals and help individuals feel like they have the power to, help themselves and get these animals spayed and neutered. And if they want to adopt, we're definitely here to help.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And on a happy news, Rocky found his forever home. So you missed out on that one.
Yes.
So work quickly. Milo's ready.
Yes.
Look at that face. Thank you for coming very much.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for Katie Bird for bringing both Lindsay Stein and Milo. Yes. This is Jimmy T with Skippable News, Sierra Wave Media, Laughing Parrot Productions, and whatever else. Stay tuned for more furry friends.
I'm Fred Rowe from Sierra Bright Dot Fly Fishing Guide Service. I've been teaching, guiding, writing, and lecturing on fly fishing since 1982. Well, let's get to this week's fly fishing report. Well, it's summertime. Everything's fishing good. I'm having fun out there. And in particular, I'm fly fishing the Upper Owens River because it's as good as I can remember. And I've been fishing it for a long time. Been guiding a lot of clients up there. Yep, that's what I like to do when I'm not in here doing fish reports for you. I'm out there fishing, teaching guys how to fly fish. And it's so good right now in the Upper Owens. What are we doing? Well, we're nymphing. Oh yeah, I'm dry fly fishing. And if you want, we can pull streamers because everything is working. And what are we catching? Well, we're catching rainbows and browns from as little as 3 inches up to 12 or 15 inches. And last week, we caught a rarity. We actually caught a 12-inch cutthroat. That's a juvenile. There just aren't a lot of juvenile cutthroats in the Upper Owens River system, or for that matter, the tributaries to Crawley Lake. So right now, we're fishing there. And what are we doing? Well, for the nymphs, I'm using a size 18 beaded flashback pheasant tail or a size 16 beadhead flashback gold-ribbed hares here. Dry flies, we're using Adams parachutes, size 16 or 18. We're using pale morning duns in a size 16. We're using elk hair caddis in a size 16. And then we're using stimulators in a size 10 or a 12, and we're starting to fish a few hoppers up there. We're fishing those in a 12 or a 14. Okay, let's go over to Hot Creek. It's fishing good. The canyon section in particular, loaded with weeds. It's hard. You got to fish the tiny little channels between the weeds. Best way to do that is fish a dry fly. And what am I using? Well, starting off with tricos in the morning, size 22, either using a female dun or switching to the spinners in there. Then, what are we doing? Well, we're switching to the blue wing olives, and then after that, we're switching to the gray caddis in a size 20. And I'm using parachute caddis, and I'm also using the X caddis. All right, let's go to the freestones. Rock Creek. Water's starting to drop a little bit, making it easier to get in there and fish, and it's been fun. What do I fish in there? Well, I fish a size 16 ounce parachute and a size 16 beadhead flashback gold ribbed airs here. I get most of the fish on the Adams, but I catch enough fish on the nymph that guess what? Hares here is what I'm fishing because it's helping me up the numbers. And speaking of numbers, it's producing good in there. I'm getting anywhere from 10 to 20 fish in there. Nothing big, rainbows, browns, and the occasional brookie, depending on where in Rock Creek I'm fishing. All right, Bishop Creek Canyon, same thing. Water levels are starting to drop just a little bit, starting to allow us to wait around, fish a little bit better, still be a little cautious in there. And oh yeah, particularly North Lake, which I like fishing, guess what? Tons of mosquitoes. If you're up in the flats, fishing where the flooded vegetation is, where the inlet is, but the other side is, I had a client, worked hard to get her fishing, caught her a few fish. 2 days later, she went and fished the inlet with my favorite dry and dropper routine, caught 20 fish. That's the best I can ever ask of a client. Get out there and do it on your own, figure it out, catch a bunch of fish. So that was totally awesome. All right, Bishop Creek Canal, we're getting afternoon thunderstorms. Because of that, we can get out and fish because it's not so hot. We're still catching fish. It's just too hot for me. I melt. And by the way, in the rainstorms we're getting, I'm not a witch, so I'm not melting. All right, so what I'm doing out there, afternoons, I'm starting to see hoppers. Throwing a few hoppers, throwing a few elk hair caddis, but still primarily nymphing with beadhead flashback pheasant tails. Then we're using the green gold wire prince nymph, the stoner nymph, and then the gold ribbed hares there. Well, this has been Fred Rowe from Sarah Brighttop, Fly Fishing Guide Service, bringing you the fish report. I can be found on Instagram, Facebook, then on lpptv.us, and every Tuesday at Mahogany Smoked Meats.
Let's give the people what they came for.
I want to show you something huge.
I don't think you're supposed to say that. God, I love this part. Wait! Nobody knows. Everybody knows. Get your spectral sock out, nerds. It's gonna get good.
Rated R.
If you feel it, chase it! All right, here we go.
Do we have to drive into it?
No, it's driving into us.
How about we launch some rockets? Rockets.
He's insane.
Twisters in theaters Friday.